And we're live.
Good afternoon. Administrator, can you please confirm that we have quorum?
Through you, Mr. Chair, we do have quorum.
I'd like to call the meeting to order. Our meetings are webcast live and temporarily archived on the board's website. Presentations and reports are considered at today's meeting are available on our website, and members and the public may contact the administrative director to acquire documents in an alternate format. A reminder to everyone that today electric devices should be switched on to a non-audible function during our meetings. Thank you. I'll now call on Member Pauls to give the land acknowledgement.
Thank you, and thank you, Chair. I will do the acknowledgement written by Chief Stacy Lathorne. We give thanks to the Creator for allowing this gathering. We ask that He guides us and forgive us when we falter and disappoint. For though we aspire to greatness, we are, after all, only human. Grant us the clear mind, a pure heart and courage, a clear mind to make well thought out, intelligent decisions, a pure heart to make decisions that are without personal bias or desire, and the courage to use both a clear mind and a pure heart in our lives. Let us set aside small differences. Let us concentrate on the real issues. Let us not be bogged down by rhetoric. Let us live each day with a feeling of accomplishment and pride. Most important, let us remember we are not enemies, nor are we adversaries. We share a similar past, a kindred spirit, and a common heritage. We must always remember the real reason we gather: to do the right thing for our people, for our children, and for our future. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Pauls. Okay, we'll now move on to delegations, presentations, and updates. We have no delegations today. Is that still correct? Thank you. Then we'll move on to Chief, the members of the month. Oh, I'm sorry. Can we please have a motion to approve the agenda? Member Pauls, Member Horwath, all in favor? Approved. We'll now move on to the members of the month. Chief.
Thank you very much, Chair. And through the Chair, it gives me great pleasure to call upon Inspector Greg Dewar. I will note to the board that Greg Dewar is on a scheduled day off. And I said, Greg, you're here today. Why? And he said, this is his favorite thing to do, is to do the member of the month. I'll also put an asterisk for a caution, unless I'm not seeing this across my desk. One of our recipients this afternoon may be late or may miss us all together because she's in the corner right now of McNabb and Hunter is dealing with some challenges we're having on the street and assisting people to better lodgings. So if that's the case, and I'll just make note that we'll at another time be able to recognize the amazing work that she does each and every day to keep our city safe.
Sir, can I steal your microphone?
You certainly may.
I can speak loudly. Yes, Chief, it is my day off. I didn't even get out of my pajamas today. Good afternoon, Police Service Board Chair, Police Service Board members, Chief Bergen, Deputy Chief Diodati, Deputy Chief Hamilton, senior officers, Hamilton Police Service members, and members of the public. My name is Greg Dewar, and I am the Inspector of Division 2. I also have the honor of being the Chair of the Hamilton Police Awards Committee. The Member of the Month Award celebrates extraordinary acts by Hamilton Police Service members, and today is my honor and pleasure to announce the Members of the Month for September and October. Ladies and gentlemen, colleagues, and distinguished guests, September Members of the Month, Constables Rosalie Cloutier, Spencer Hahn, Stephanos Kosis, and Sarah Mayo. Please join me down here. Today, we come together to recognize the exceptional actions of 4 officers whose professionalism, teamwork, and quick thinking led to the safe resolution of a dangerous situation and the apprehension of a violent offender. On June 1st, 2024, Constables Kosas, Mayo, and Hahn responded to a report of a male threatening another patron with a firearm at an establishment in our central area. Their response exemplified the very best of law enforcement. Constables Kosas and Mayo were the first to arrive on scene. They quickly spotted 3 males across the street in the parking lot who, upon noticing the officers, fled on foot in different directions. What followed was a coordinated effort that demonstrated outstanding communication and teamwork. Constable Hahn pursued one suspect fleeing south, apprehending him a short distance away. Constable Mayo followed and arrested a second suspect after a determined chase on Cannon Street. Meanwhile, Constable Kosas relentlessly pursued the third suspect, who eventually hid in a church lot and was later located with the assistance of K9 and TAC teams. Constable Cloutier, responding to the initial area, conducted a thorough search of the parking lot and made a critical discovery: a loaded firearm concealed in a shadowed alcove. Along the suspect's escape routes, additional evidence, including drugs, money, and scales, were recovered. Thanks to the officer's sharp observations, seamless communication, and courageous actions, all 3 suspects were arrested without incident. Moreover, further investigation linked one of these individuals to 2 additional shootings earlier in the year, further emphasizing the significance of their actions. Constables Cloutier, Hahn, Kosas, and Mayo, your dedication and skill ensured the safety of our community and removed dangerous individuals and weapons from our streets. Your commitment to the excellence reflects the highest standards of the Hamilton Police Service. Please join me in honoring Constables Cloutier, Hahn, Kosas, and Mayo for their bravery, professionalism, and outstanding contributions to public safety. Thank you for your service.
Gonna have to have a big shelf to do all the work.
One more, sir. No, but if the board will indulge me, I think it's important to share the story of Antonetta Sansalone, Tony Sansalone. She is working right now.
Like if she's coming over,
I can speak slowly.
No. If she comes, we'll receive her and do it. Yeah, if she's going to be here during the meeting, we'll do it. Let's do that.
Very good.
Sorry. If she doesn't make it over here in one meeting, we'll make sure that we have her here.
Yes.
For a-
Yeah,
Very good.
She's on her way.
Oh, okay.
We'll do our update.
So that means you can't go on leave again. We'll have a declaration of any conflicts of interest. Hearing none, we'll move on. The board chair's update. I'd just like to note that on November 6th, Member Pauls attended the Liberty Gala for Youth, Power of a Changed Life Gala. On November 8th, Member Pauls, the Vice Chair, and myself attended the HPA Annual Retirement Dinner put on by the association. It was, as always, a great event. May I please? Oh, before I do that, I do have one other thing to do because very shortly the chief's going to come out here with both guns blazing and lots to be proud of. I just wanted to express the opinion of the board. As all of you know in Hamilton, this has been a busy week for the Hamilton Police. You've all read of the Operation Churchill that took place this week. There are other ones the chief may or may not talk about that have gone down today. They just highlight the great work that our service and men and women in uniform are doing to make this city a better place to live. And we thank them for that. And the leadership that comes largely, not only, but from the people that are in the room tonight, we can only say thank you. With that, could I have a motion to accept my report? Moved, seconded. Any discussion? All in favor? And with that, I'll ask the chief to give his update.
Thank you, Chair. And through the chair, I appreciate the introduction because it is significant and what this team has been able to bring together. And you'll hear it's after the fruition of dogged police work and amazing attention to detail. This week, we announced the results of 2 significant investigations, Project Churchill and an update on 2 violent sexual assault investigations in the Hamilton Mountain. On Tuesday, we held a media conference for Project Churchill, which targeted a Hamilton-based street gang responsible for violent criminal activity across southwestern Ontario. Hamilton police have noted a significant rise in violent crime linked to a gang operating in Hamilton's downtown core. The group, self-identified as the Hot Molly Squad, has been connected to drug trafficking, robberies, daytime shootings, and homicides. Based primarily in Hamilton, the group has recently expanded to neighboring jurisdictions including Brantford, Halton, Waterloo, and Toronto. I've been before this board to share the city's concerning rising shootings, and unfortunately have to report that there are 60 occurrences this year. Targeting this violent street gang was crucial in addressing the surge in shootings because this group acted at the epicenter of gun violence, fueling fear, instability, and harm in our communities. Project Churchill led to the discovery that HMS was operating as a criminal organization and built strong links with members of the Dirty South operating in the Greater Toronto area. The Dirty South is a faction of the Bahamian-based street gang known as One Order. The investigation revealed that local Dirty South members are involved in the smuggling and distribution of illegal firearms obtained in the United States. On November 13th, 2024, Hamilton Police, with the assistance of Halton Regional Police, Niagara Regional Police, London Police Service, Peel Regional Police Services, the OPP, and Waterloo Regional Police, conducted 17 search warrants as part of the project. During Project Churchill, 24 individuals were arrested, 172 charges laid, 14 firearms seized, 880 grams of cocaine, and 1.2 kilograms of fentanyl. There is 1 individual still wanted, and 3 of the accused are also wanted in connection to crimes, including homicide in the Bahamas. HMS funds its operations primarily through drug trafficking and the sale of illegal firearms. In Hamilton, the gang's activities are mainly concentrated in the specific neighborhoods that we know well, Barton Street to Main Street, Queen Street to James Street, with members living in high-rises within what they called their designated turf. While this project may be over, our service will not stop in our dedication to getting firearms and illegal guns off our streets. The successful completion of this lengthy investigation was made possible through funding provided by the Ontario government, the Ministry of the Solicitor General, in which Criminal Intelligence Service Ontario supported the investigation, and the incredible, involved, dogged, and dedicated members of the Hamilton Police Service, the amazing women and men of this organization. Earlier today, we provided an update on our community on 2 sexual assaults that took place in 2022 and 2023. Hamilton police investigators never gave up on finding the suspect involved in these incidents. In July 2022, a woman was walking along a mountain trail when she was approached by an unknown male and dragged off the trail into a wooded area. The victim was gagged. Her wrists were bound behind her back. The male proceeded to assault her, but was interrupted by witnesses walking by the area. At this time, investigators exhausted all investigative steps and were unable to identify the male offender. In August 2023, a 74-year-old female was alone in her residence on the West Mountain when an unknown male entered her residence and confronted her when she was sleeping. The male assaulted the victim for over an hour before leaving the residence on foot. Again, investigators were unable to identify the suspect. From 2022 onwards, there were extensive and various investigative techniques used to identify the suspect, including working with local school boards, sharing case information with other agencies through the Ontario Serial Predator Investigations Coordinator, following tips and identifying persons of interest. In January 2024, forensic evidence enabled investigators to connect the 2022 and 2023 assaults to the same male suspect. Hamilton Police assembled a project team to identify and locate the offender. Thanks to the dogged efforts of our investigators, today we stood up and announced the arrest of 22-year-old Lukis Sherio, who was located living in the United States and recently extradited to Canada. He is currently being held in custody. This was great police work, and we thank the Sexual Assault Unit for their dedication in bringing this individual to justice. We'd also like to thank the community and the United States authorities for assistance in bringing closure to these two victims. Finally, we've kicked off not only in a media campaign yesterday afternoon, but last night at 5 o'clock when all of these members of our organization stood on our street to welcome and introduce our Festive Ride campaign. This year, we partnered with the Ticats, Forge FC, and Mad Canada to offer discounted tickets to drivers who successfully pass through ride lanes. We have other things for those who don't. As the holiday season approaches, we encourage everyone to plan ahead for a designated driver, take public transit, call a taxi, ride-sharing service, or stay the night. Let's all together keep our roads safe and have the opportunity to enjoy our family as we celebrate in our various ways through this holiday season. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Chief. May I please have a mover and a seconder to receive the Chief's update? Member Pauls, Member Horvath. Any discussion? Member Meneses.
Chair, I have a statement to make, but I would also like to thank the chief for his update.
Okay.
Okay. No outcome of any investigations will ever change the fact that the loss of any life is still tragic. Too often at tables like these, we are expected within the confines of an imposed professionalism to remove our hearts and our souls from our work and our words, to reduce communities and human beings to numbers and statistics. I draw on Resmaa Menakem's words in my grandmother's hands that history puts all of our lives into context, and that healing is about what we do and how we show up in the world. It is about learning and expressing regard, compassion, and love. And so that is what I hope I seek to express to Erickson Cabarrus' family, his sons Gary, Sean, Terry, and Zach, his wife Lydia, our Black community in Hamilton, and our racialized community. As the only racialized body on this board, and the only racialized body at this table, I want to personally express my condolences to Mr. Cabarrus' family. I attended the vigil held for him almost 2 weeks ago. I learned of the real human being and the soul behind that number, a father of 3 young children, a pillar in the Rwandan community here, known for his kindness, honesty, and infectious laugh. Hamilton has lost a bright light. And I also recognize that my brown body affords me a privileged experience as a differently racialized woman at this table. when I read the words of a member of Mr. Cabrera's church who stated, "We cannot help thinking that this could have been the fate of any one of us. The pit in my stomach only grows as I recognize how disruptive this must be for our Black community's sense of safety and dignity." Last night, I rewatched the June board meeting's use of force report, and it brought new tears to my eyes and a rage in my heart. The report began with a presentation seeking to humanize the badge, and it highlighted the small proportion of public encounters where force is used, and ended with, "Are we perfect? No. But that 0.1% says that we are really, really close." The reduction of human life, the deep-rooted historical fears of policing Black communities, reinforced by modern narratives, national and international trends that are discounted as close to perfect, dehumanizes an entire community. Kojo Damte, in that same June meeting, as he has done annually since 2020, outlined how the Hamilton Black community remains grossly overrepresented in police use of force incidents, the disparity index virtually unchanged over the past 2 years. I am expressing my own personal soul opinion here that is far from perfect. We must do better. We will do better. And better, I feel, begins with us recognizing each other as human and mourning together the loss of a life. I'd like to use the remainder of my speaking time for a moment of silence.
Thank you, Member Meneses. Moving on, I'll call the question. Those in favor? Opposed? None? Thank you. Oh. I see that Constable Sansalone is here, so if you want to carry on with the presentation, let's do that.
I apologize, Chair. I stepped out of the room, so I don't know if something serious happened in here.
You're fine.
Okay. Oh, I'll just say briefly before I start my script here. I met Tony outside, and her commitment. Oh, I'm sorry. I can hear myself perfectly. That's the best. Same as karaoke. I sound perfect. I met Tony outside, and we just had a brief conversation. Beyond what happens in this story I'm about to tell you, I can share with you her commitment, her dedication to the encampments and helping people in crisis is second to none. So I'm very proud to have her here. Constable Sansalone, if you come down here, please. Our September member of the month, or pardon me, our October member of the month, Antoinetta Tony Sansalone. Today we gather and honor an act of courage and selflessness. On September 16th, 2024, members of the Hamilton Police Service engagement team were conducting a compliance check at Delta Park when an unforeseen emergency unfolded. A fire broke out in a tent within the encampment. Constable Tony Sansalone, demonstrating incredible composure and instinct, responded immediately to the cries for help. Observing smoke coming from the tent, she acted without hesitation. Upon reaching the tent, she discovered a man inside, asleep and unaware of the danger. Her quick actions and sharp commands enabled him to escape uninjured. But the situation was far from over. Amidst the heavy smoke, it became clear that another person was still trapped inside. Constable Sansaloni didn't falter. She tore open the burning tent and found a second individual, a woman who was unable to escape on her own due to significant health challenges requiring the use of a wheelchair. Despite the imminent danger, Constable Sansaloni dragged her to safety, shielding her from further harm. The woman had already suffered serious burns caused by her mattress igniting from a nearby heater. Constable Sansaloni remained by her side, offering comfort and reassurance until fire and EMS personnel arrived. Constable Sansaloni's actions undoubtedly saved lives that day. By putting her own safety aside to enter a hazardous situation, she exemplified the highest standards of bravery and professionalism. Constable Sansaloni, it is my privilege to stand here today and recognize your courage. Your heroic actions not only reflect your dedication to the Hamilton Police Service, but also as a profound reminder of the vital role our officers play in protecting and serving our community. On behalf of the Hamilton Police Service and a grateful community, thank you for your bravery and selfless commitment. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in celebrating the incredible heroism of Constable Tony Sansaloni.
So go meet our board. Welcome. Congratulations.
We'll now have the administrative director's update. Kirsten, will you provide your update, please?
Thank you, and through the chair, I attended the Ontario Association Police Service Board Labour Conference Tuesday and Wednesday of this week. I'll be sending a synopsis of the conference out to members within the next week. I'd also like to point out that our final regular meeting of 2024 is taking place on a Tuesday, not the regular Thursday in December. So it'll be taking place on Tuesday, December the 17th. A note to members that public consent item 7.4 is requesting feedback from the ministry related to revisions to the Community Safety and Policing Act. Of importance are the suggested changes in the wording to CSPA Section 19, Requests for Temporary Assistance, which essentially is shifting primary approval responsibility from the board to the service. And finally, the conference noted in public consent item 8.7, respecting the CAPG Police Governance Summit on Strategic Leadership in January 2025 is filling up quickly. Should the board approve member attendance at this event, please let me know if you're interested in attending as soon as possible. Thank you.
Okay, may I have a motion to receive the director's report, please? Member Meneses, Member Robertson, Deputy Chair Robertson, sorry. All those in favor? Approved. Thank you. May I please have a mover and a seconder to approve the public minutes of the October 24th meeting as presented? Moved by Member Meneses, seconded by Member Pauls. Any discussion on the minutes? Hearing none, here's the question. All in favor? Opposed? Passed. Item 7, correspondence. May I please have a mover and seconder to receive correspondence items 7.1 through 7.13? Moved by Member Meneses, seconded by Member Horvath. Chief, are there any correspondence items you would like to discuss?
Thank you for the opportunity, Chair. And through the Chair, the one I would highlight is 7.9. And I would like to highlight, as you had mentioned as well, that Member Pauls had attended the Liberty for Youth Gala. And at that event, we had Rudy Sanchez, a special constable, who had been able to share his journey from the incredible work of Frederick Dryden and Liberty for Youth in order to get him there. I bring that up only on the same time to see how proud I am to stand with Member Pauls, Councillor Pauls, for this event for the Wayside regarding the step up for Wayside, which was at Bayfront Park, and the amount of police officers that were able to participate, but more importantly to support the Wayside that does incredible work for addiction support and getting people on the right track. And I would like to just take a moment to thank Regan Anderson and the team who do incredible work in our community and continue to invest heavily in making everything better for everyone. Thank you.
Any other points to be raised? Member Meneses?
In relation to item 7.4, I have a motion I'd like to put forward, but first I'd like to ask a question related to item 7.4. Yeah.
Oh, right, yes, pardon me, sorry, my apology.
So, item 7.4 is, it appears is two updates, right? One is, about Safer Streets, Stronger Communities Act, 2024, amendments to the Community Safety and Policing Act. But and also I have a motion related to that, but the second page
Let's
is.
first, Member Meneses, let's have the motion first, please.
Motion first?
Motion, then discussion.
Okay. So the motion, as our administrative director outlined, is that the board direct the administrative director to provide a response on the board's behalf to the Ministry of the Attorney General on supporting a suggested proposal related to Section 19 of the Community Safety and Policing Act 2019 that would shift the authority to request temporary assistance from police service boards to chiefs of police, allowing them greater flexibility in seeking assistance from another chief of police to provide adequate and effective policing.
Okay. So you're the mover? So I have a seconder, please? Mayor Horvath? Okay, discussion. Before we discuss this, because I don't know what you're going to say, I'd like to speak to this topic just for a minute. Okay, this is a legislative requirement that comes from the Solicitor General. We have had to deal with it a couple of times, including things like you just heard about Project Churchill. So we have come across with some ways to deal with it, and our principal way that we have dealt with it in the past is to use assigning authority based on the chair and deputy chair, and then it comes to the next available meeting or following the completion of the need for it to be confidential, and which is ratified by the board. So that's what we're now doing, and that has worked fairly well. It's a little cumbersome because it's new, so it involves them communicating with several police forces at a time. We're at the second or third version of this, and we seem to have it right. And it does now appear that an amendment to that particular legislation has been tabled at Queen's Park. So I'll let you carry on with the discussion, but it might be too early to go much farther than we're going on this until that amendment to the legislation is passed, and that's what Kirsten's been asked to provide. Please carry on.
Thank you. I'd like to speak to the second page of item 7.4, which speaks about proposed amendments to Christopher's Law Sex Offender Registry. And what I note here is, to me, quite a significant change in the amount of reporting police services will have to receive.
I'm sorry, Chair, but can I just raise a point of order? The motion that's on the floor is about the first page. And so we need to get that motion off the floor before you can go to your second half of, like, the other side of the page.
Thank you.
Right? So we'll keep it, because they have to be kept separate. They should be kept separate.
We'll vote on this motion.
Okay.
And then you go to the
That
next
sounds good.
piece. Thank you.
No further? I'll call the question, please,
On the motion.
on the first motion. Oh, sure. Go ahead, Don, sorry.
Through you, Mr. Chair, I'm very pleased that the province are revisiting this. You and I have been asked to approve things, and we have. I quite frankly find it a little frustrating to just provide blind approval on something that we're not permitted to know anything about. And if that isn't, how do I put this? I'm not in a hockey dressing room. If that isn't a little bit backwards, I don't know what is. So I think it was a misfire, and I think they're trying to correct it. And I think it's the service that should, heaven forbid, and we have decided not to approve that last request. I mean, we shouldn't be in that position. So I'm glad to see that Kirsten's going to provide that report, and that we're going to support sending it back saying, get this right, because I haven't got it right now. Do I get in trouble for saying stuff like that?
No, you're fine.
All right.
Okay, any more remarks? If not, here's the question. All in favor? Passed. Okay, Member Meneses, if you have some comments on the second page, please do, but please, 4 minutes.
Thank you. The updates would require offenders on the registry to notify the police if they change an email address, a username associated with a social media account, or other prescribed digital identifier used for the purpose of communicating on the internet. I myself have 6 email addresses currently. And, there's a question here about or they note that there's no direct compliance costs, but there are administrative costs potentially to municipal police services. My question through the chair is, for our Hamilton Police Service, what could be the impact of a change like this to your administrative burden?
Through you, Chair, we have approximately 600 registered sex offenders living in our city. This impact, there would be an impact on the work that our members in that unit deliver, but that's public safety, and that's what we need to provide. And in keeping, making sure that we know where these offenders are and what they're doing is important to achieve that goal.
Okay. If there are no other things to be held on correspondence, we'll call the question. All in favor? Thank you. We'll move on to the consent agenda. May I please have a mover and a seconder to approve consent items 8.1 through 8.7? Thank you. Member Meneses, Mayor Horwath. Okay. I believe the deputy chair would like to pull out number 8.5
Hello, Pretty. Hello,
and speak to it.
Pretty. Welcome back, Pretty.
Yeah, your motion.
Welcome back, Pretty. Yeah.
That's on them. We're going to do the budget stuff.
Yep.
Now I get it. Regarding the Police Service Board budget, we've completed our 4th and final meeting this past Tuesday, and quite frankly, it was a tremendous experience to find the professionalism and the capabilities of the service to find efficiencies when required under tremendous financial and stressful times in every municipality in this province. I found that this process rather refreshing. And at the Police Service Board's budget meeting on November 26th, the committee members unanimously approved presenting the proposed 2025 police budget to the full board at their December 17th public meeting. The Budget Committee met, as I mentioned, 4 times to consider the budget. After much deliberation and consideration, the committee members supported an increase of 5.7% over last year's budget. All police services in Ontario must adhere to the Committee on Safety Policing and according to the Act in relation to police budget and police service shall. So we'll be sending out a media release later today asking the public for an opinion on the proposed 2025 budget. I'm tremendously proud that the committee came to a unanimous conclusion to supporting the budget, and very respectful of the process, and it will go to December the 17th. I will now, and he can do it whenever he'd like, or I'd like to ask the chief, who's far more familiar with this type of data than I am, what are neighboring partners?
Before you do that, we move second and then so you're moving it.
Okay.
Somebody's going to second it and then, I mean, we can do it before, but yeah,
Later?
yeah, yeah.
Okay, so
So you're moving.
retract part of that.
Okay.
I'm moving, yeah.
Member Pauls, any further discussion? Member Horwath?
Thank you. I don't have the details yet, of course, except for the number that was mentioned. I just want to say thank you. The committee did some diligent work, and that's a lot of time investment, I have to say. And so I look forward to the detail, but I'm just grateful for the work that the committee members put in, because I know that it's onerous, it's heavy lifting, and I just want to share my gratitude on that work. So thank you.
Thank you. Any other- Chief, would you like to comment at all?
Thank you very much. And through the chair, I would certainly like to highlight that the budget chair, Don Robertson, and the team that participated in the 4 meetings, thank you very much on behalf of our team as well. The one thing that I will note, and I highlight Member Horwath, but more importantly, in her role as the mayor, we took very clearly what was mayoral directive that spoke about what, if you will, to Chair Don Robertson's perspective and way to summarize. We knew where the blue line was, where the red line was, and we stayed and made sure that we could stay within those goalposts that were identified in your directive. And you will see, and the public will see, that as we present on the 17th of December, we truly took as a team with the budget subcommittee meeting the importance of still providing adequate and effective policing, be able to meet and to be where we are to be, but more importantly, to be able to manage the complex needs that we know that are within the city. The complex needs should not be lost. That we have to deal with homelessness, harm reduction, poverty, mental illness, but we also have to deal with those that indiscriminately take everybody's lives for granted by having 60 shootings going on in our streets. So what we're able to do within this framework is still be able to provide the community safety that everybody expects, and is also something we believe they can manage within their tax levy and their tax on every household. We want to be part of the team and part of the solution to make sure that we can be better together. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Now, realizing that I've made a slight procedural error, we have lifted out 7.4. We will now vote on that because we pulled it out of the consent, and then we'll vote separately on the consent. Is that 8.5? Pardon me. So first to 8.5. All in favor? Opposed? Thank you. A unanimous motion to receive, and we look forward to putting this hopefully into the hopper at the next meeting. In terms of the consent agenda generally,
Hello, pretty.
it was moved and seconded as well, but we'll now if there's nothing further on that, we'll vote to accept that. Yes, Member Meneses? Go ahead.
I have questions for 2 items.
Go ahead.
The first one being for body worn cameras. Let me just gather my,
I think,
gather my papers here.
go ahead. I think it's on another agenda, but go ahead.
8.3?
Yeah. 8.3, but we're not, I'm just thinking.
So just as all of us,
Oh, it's just an update.
click over to, item 8.3 in our binders, I note that I did submit 16 questions about body worn cameras, late last night.
Yeah.
And I absolutely am not expecting answers to all of those. I have questions specifically about the update that has been provided to us about the procedures that have been developed by the Hamilton Police Service about body worn cameras and their implementation. And what I am noting here is that they refer to the Hamilton Police Service policy on body worn cameras, and I am asking if we can see that policy. Is that policy available for board members or for the public to review? Not the board policy, but the Hamilton Police Service. So the phrasing being the Hamilton Police Service policy has been written based on the policy from the board, and so I'm asking where that policy from the service is.
Thank you very much, Member Menendez, and through the chair. Allow us, first of all, to respond to what had been the October 2024 board meeting direction for us to implement a body-worn program that addresses, according to the governance of this board, and for me in an operational lens, privacy, policy, and deployment. As such, I'll turn to the deputy in order to give you that response.
Thank you, Chief, and through you, Mr. Chair. In 2024, the Hamilton Police Service Board approved the acquisition of 500 body-worn cameras from Axon and directed the Hamilton Police Service to address privacy, policy, and deployment concerns. Full deployment is scheduled for 2025. A comprehensive privacy impact assessment was conducted following a structured methodology. Information was gathered. We reviewed project objectives and consulted with experts. A privacy analysis assessment and privacy risk based on Canadian privacy policies, IPC guidelines, and legal standards was conducted. Documentation, we identified privacy risks and provided recommendations for mitigation. HPS developed a policy based on this board's guidelines, IPC standards, and best practices. Key elements included activation requirements. Body-worn cameras must be activated during enforcement or investigative actions, with exceptions in certain circumstances, private or sensitive settings, such as in medical facilities or in private residences. Auditing and reporting, annual reports will be provided to this board to ensure transparency and accountability. Deployment will follow industry best practices with a focus on training and integration. Training will be a comprehensive in-person training for officers on the use and integration of body-worn cameras with existing technologies such as in-car cameras and our digital evidence management platform. Equipment will be issued to all uniform officers and selected units starting in the spring of 2025 with expected full deployment in the fall of 2025. And I would just like to take a moment to recognize and thank Superintendent Evans and his team in business and strategic initiatives, IT, and information management for advancing this project that will enhance public trust, officer accountability, operational effectiveness while addressing privacy and policy considerations.
Thank you very much, Deputy, as well as I'm going to take the liberty and pull out one of the questions that you asked, because I thought it was germane to your concerns about our policy, and also making sure that we understand collectively the role of a board and the role of the Chief of Police. And the role of the Chief of Police is to provide an operational lens on what you expect through your governance. I want you to know, and I want everybody in the community to also know, additionally, the policy addresses the auditing and analysis of body-worn cameras, ensuring that an annual report is presented to the board. The report will provide information based on recommendations in the guidelines from the IPC, as well as the policy from the board.
Any more?
Thank you for your answers. Just to clarify though, so when you referred to the Hamilton Police Service policy, you meant the board policy?
Member Menendez, and through the chair, the board has directed me in your governance role to make sure that I have a policy with respect to, and you were specific, privacy, policy, and deployment. As such, I can assure the board that I have met that standard, and I do have a policy on the operations specific to privacy, policy, and deployment. We'll also further give the comfort to the board and our community is that we will annually report on the use and audits of all our body-worn cameras being operated within the city of Hamilton.
Thank you. And I welcome a clarification in case I may have misunderstood your response, but from what I'm getting from that is that we're not going to see a copy of that policy at this time. What I'd like to just clarify though is I appreciate the note here about to protect privacy. Except in certain circumstances, body-worn cameras will not be activated under the following circumstances. And that example of like when attending a medical facility, or when consent has not been granted by the owner or occupant, right, of a residence. I'd like to clarify in terms of medical facilities. I think it's important recognizing how many ways the Hamilton Police Service interact with the public for things like the social response team and the number of times that Hamilton Police Service are asked to attend with EMS. That's outside of a medical facility. That might be in the community. What will be the policy for body-worn cameras activated in those settings that invariably are meeting residents who may be in medical or mental health crises and distress?
Through you, Chair, and I will take the question, and I might turn around for some additional cleanup. But these situations are dynamic, and we can't put. There's going to be some times in a medical facility where we're in process of an investigation, and the body camera will be activated. When we're dealing with vulnerable people in our community, it's going to depend on the situation we're involved in. An encampment is going to be considered somebody's residence. So under those circumstances, unless we're investigating a criminal offense and we got consent, they will not be deployed. But every circumstance, I can't give you a hard and fast rule for every, because every situation is dynamic and they can change. One situation can change from a compliance check or a wellness check to a criminal investigation where a camera would have to be activated.
Last
See
one,
if anybody
please.
wants to take any of the DVDs.
My last one is just clarifying, will cameras be activated when cops are in schools and with children and at youth outreach events?
Again, this is an investigative tool. So again, unless they're in an investigative capacity, they will not be activated. If we're in the community engaging with community members, the cameras will not be activated again unless the situation changes and it warrants that change.
Thanks, Member Menendez. Any more? Member Robertson, then Member Horwath.
Member Mendes, thank you. You're a very detailed young lady, and you ask questions that are probably some of which are impossible to answer based on Deputy Chief Hamilton. I have full confidence that the policy and the procedures that have been requested of the service will be rolled out and properly attended to, and certainly recognize that in a blink of an eye, something can change, and to have check marks that they have to follow on every single incident is foolhardy, and we could be here till we'd miss Christmas. if we want to try and check them all off. So I have full confidence that you've done exactly what we've asked you to do. You'll roll it out, you'll do a good job, and if there's tweaks that have to be done under certain circumstances, they'll be addressed on a timely basis, maybe not on an annual basis, because I have full confidence in the chief and the force.
Member Horwath?
Thanks, Chair Elms. I just have just a follow-up on this conversation would be, should there be incidents where the board's policy might not have been able to be fully realized through a incident, that would come at the annual meeting. The annual report, rather. So the annual report will identify some of what Member Robertson's talking about, but also I think what Member Menezes is talking about as well. So that's why we have the annual report, so that we can go through the stats, the learnings, the policy's effectiveness as a board on an annual basis. Is that fair? Through you, Chair?
Thank you.
Thank you, Member Horwath, and through the chair, absolutely. And again, under an extreme circumstance as well, if I were required or I felt compelled to release footage during an emergency or during something of that nature, I would absolutely have to be clear and very accurate in my conversation publicly about why I was doing that. It's very clear. We will stay with the IPC rules and we will follow those guidelines. And I also would encourage that as we do this rollout, which will be commencing in the second quarter of 2025, is that board members participate in the training as well as understanding that rollout to better understand that the impact as we learn about the power of this. I'll go back, and it's also pulling another question that had come out of the 17 questions we received this morning at 11 o'clock. The importance of that was we took the time, we took the due diligence on a journey since 2014. We availed ourselves of understanding the impact of in-car camera, automated license plate readers on a grant, so that we didn't have the pressures to this board and ultimately to the taxpayer of our city to understand the significant impact of the back end house, which is the actual storage of the documentation. You've asked questions as well as, have we in fact worked with our partners? Absolutely. We must also acknowledge that our Crown Attorney, Eric Taylor, and the courts, as well as our disclosure, we've all looked after that, and we've worked along what is allowing that pipe of technology in order to make sure that we can do all things for all people with body-worn cameras.
Thank you, Chief. Sorry, what is it? Because you've had 4 cracks now. This is the last one, Member Menges. This is not a discussion. We're going to vote on this.
Simply to acknowledge that it was on the whole time. Simply to acknowledge with thanks, right, that you're right, you've got a list of a huge number of questions at a very late hour, and I am so appreciative of the time you've taken to provide me with answers. This is something the service has been looking into since 2014, and it was the chief who so kindly provided me with the steering committee annual reports that summarize in-depth, very in-depth literature reviews every single year. And so that sharing of information and that supporting me as I catch up on that knowledge, I appreciate it. Chief, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. There's nothing else. We'll call the question. All in favor? Opposed? Thank you. Recommendations? May I have a mover and a seconder to approve the following motion? That the Hamilton Police Board approve that Bylaw 21001 be repealed and replaced by Bylaw 24002, attached as Appendix A. And B, that the records retention schedule attached on Appendix B be adopted as Schedule A to the new bylaw. Kirsten, would you speak to that, please, before we vote?
Through you, Chair, this is just a report prepared by the service so that all of the bylaws with regards to the management of records is up to date.
Do we have a mover? Don, seconder? Member Pauls. Chief, do you want to speak to this item, please?
Thank you very much, and through the chair, and I will also ask that the deputy would like some comments. I would like to take a moment, and I would like to highlight the incredible work and governance that Manager Ann Heppleway brings to the Hamilton Police Service. This is a comprehensive journey, a very important bylaw, and I also would like to highlight here today as well Jacqueline Bartles from Information Management Supervisor and our FOI Coordinator. Both Jacqueline and Ann are absolutely so essential to us being able to make sure that we can meet all of our requirements under this retention schedule. So thank you to them. Deputy?
You beat me to it, Chief. Through you, Chair, I just wanted to express my thanks to Manager Ann Heppleway and her team. This was a huge undertaking and to get us up to speed in our records retention and management and privacy. And Ann is expert in this, and she's probably cringing when I called her an expert. But she really is keeping us up to date in everything that do with records management and privacy. So I just wanted to thank her and her team.
But
There's no further discussion. We'll call the question.
what other one?
Member.
What other
All in
one?
favor? Thank you.
There's two.
That's
There's
a
only
big
two.
one.
Yeah. The other one you left on the
Recommendation
stove,
9.2,
right? Then it broke, remember?
civilian backfill. May I have a mover and a seconder to approve the following motion? That the approved headcount of the civilian board operator positions be increased to one full-time employee. A mover, please. Seconder, Member Paul. Good thing, 2 members of the budget committee, because we discussed it yesterday. Great. Chief, do you wish to speak to it?
Thank you through the chair, and I just appreciate, and we've articulated in the executive summary that although we have the authority and it's given within the 24 months plus a day, in this particular case, there are unique extenuating circumstances. This is the front of our PSAP. This is integral for us to be able to deliver timely response to our community, and I would absolutely ask that the board fulfill this recommendation.
There's no further discussion. I'll call the question. All in favor? Opposed? None? Thank you. If there is no further no further business, can I please have a motion in accordance with, that we go into closed section in accordance with section 44(1) and 2 of the Community Safety and Policing Act, as the board will be considering personal matters about an identifiable individual, including members of the police service or any other employees of the board, labor relations or employee negotiations, and litigation or potential litigation affecting the board, including matters before administrative tribunals. Can I have a motion, please? A mover, please. Member Horvath, seconded by Member Menace. If there are no further discussion. All in favor? We will resume from closed session. What time is it? At 3:20? 2:20. Oh, hey, sorry. Okay, let's call it 2:22. Thank you.